What do you say, everybody? Welcome to Monday Quarterback here on WNSP in Mobile, Alabama. With Jay Coker, I'm Mick Gillispie. We talk Alabama football and SEC football every Monday. And today, kind of another disappointing performance for the Tide, Jake. Bama lost at Tennessee. It was a game. Yeah, but definitely. I'll tell you, man, so many problems I had with this game, and I guess it really starts with I just didn't feel like either team was really that good, and it felt to me like Alabama just continues to not improve week by week, game by game.
Man, to be honest with you, I felt like that may have been the worst game we've played all year. Look, we got lucky with some turnovers early on in the first half. A couple interceptions, a couple fumbles. I can't remember exactly the numbers, but just not being able to take advantage of a situation like that. Quarterbacks rattled. It seems like every time you turn around, they're turning the ball over, and then we find a way to squander a drive, throw an interception in the end zone, where the penalties have just, you can't win consistently setting yourself behind the chains the way that we do. And, where I am now is, look, there's a coaching change. Coach DeBoer's got to get his guys in there. I still believe in Kalen DeBoer. Still believe in Kane. I think they just need time to get their own personnel in there and figure this thing out. I know it you hate to say that, but we set the expectations high. We're used to winning football and consistent and disciplined football, and it's just not what we're seeing right now. And look, he had 26 guys leave the program. He had coaches leave. He threw together a team as quickly as possible in 3 to 5 months, and it's kind of looking like we got a bunch of new faces and guys trying to learn to play together in a short period of time. And I think we just have to reset our expectations for this year and understand that's where we are.
Yeah, that may be the case. I mean, the shame is that they're not that far off, but they're also right on the bubble of this thing kind of falling apart. The offense, inconsistent. They still haven't figured out how to protect Milroe, or maybe it's Milroe not helping himself. But the book on him is send as many people from as many different directions at him and wait for him to make a mistake.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember an Alabama game, in the last, Coach Saban's first year, obviously that was a rough start, but outside of that, I don't remember games where we won the turnover battle and we ultimately lost the game, especially to a team that, really their biggest opponent was themselves. They should have scored a lot more on offense, made some really bad mistakes, missed a lot of big opportunities. Defensively, obviously they were pretty strong, but we left a lot of opportunities out there. It's a solid defense, and I never would have thought that our offense would have struggled that way. But I'm just very confused by this game. You don't really even know where to start, whether it's discipline, whether it's execution. I've never seen. I felt like Jalen Milroe was going to come along this year and have the, his come out year and get drafted, at a pretty high spot. I don't know if I was willing to go first round yet, but he's one of the most physically gifted quarterbacks in the country. And Saturday night was just mind-boggling. And we all have bad games, don't get me wrong, but this one was just a little strange. You never watched him in the pocket feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Everything was not on time. I felt like if they were playing man coverage, you knew it was going to Ryan Williams. I mean, that was, I don't know how many times he got targeted that game, and it was a bunch. And look, I mean, Ryan Williams he's a playmaker. He's the best freshman in the country. But I do think, I think you kind of saw sometimes in that game, you could see where, he doesn't quite have the experience yet, to go out there and be a consistent route runner and make those plays every down. And again, he's 17 years old, and he's cannot speak highly enough about his talent and what he's going to be at Alabama. But you got to have some other options out there.
Right. No, I agree. Do you think Jalen Milroe might be hurt? Because I thought some of those throws yesterday were just so not like him. And I thought, this guy could be banged up, man.
That's what I was going to say. I'm just so confused at the end of the day watching that game, because it was just such an out of character performance. I mean, usually if he does get a little confused back there, he can make up for it with his feet. He can get out of the pocket and make throws, or just get a first down with his legs. And again, it just, you saw him back there shuffling, uncertain about where to go with the ball. And like I said, the timing seemed to be off the entire game. And when he had to reset his feet and get the ball out, he just didn't seem to have that power and accuracy that he usually has.
Well, plus the running isn't there. And that to me has been really alarming, because it's the running to me that separates him from everyone else.
Well, I agree. I mean, teams, when you hear teams prepare for him, you listen to Kirby Smart before that Georgia game, and he's talking about how he's possibly one of the best running backs in the country. And I'm not, that's not a slight at his throwing ability. It is what it is. He is one of the best runners in the country, in my opinion. And that's what makes him so dynamic. That's what makes him so hard to defend and prepare for, is because of his ability to run the ball. You just don't know how to attack him, because there's just not enough guys on the field to contain him when he's running the ball that effectively. And so it just a very frustrating game to watch. None of our guys seem to be playing with that confident intensity that you're used to seeing from Alabama. And then another incident at the end of the game, Kendrick Law. I mean, I've got a way bigger problem with that than any other personal foul or penalty that's happened all year long. I mean, the game's on the line. You can't control your emotions in a moment like that. I remember when we were playing Tennessee my senior year. I think they sacked me the first play of that 2-minute drive before we went on to win the game. And their guys are talking trash and trying to make us act out. And I remember not even giving a thought to what they were saying. Couldn't even tell you what they said. You're focused on winning the ball game. Like, whatever they say doesn't matter. Right. You've got a job to do, get the job done, and don't worry about the opposition. And the mental toughness of some of these guys to act out that way and cost your team the game, because it went from 2nd and 6 to 3rd and 25 or 3rd and 18, something like that. Just really poor performance mentally and physically.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when your captain's acting like he did at Vandy, and it's like, well, you know what? This is that's somebody that's just really fired up about trying to win a game. I mean, to me, it was like, whoa, there's a lot of problems there with discipline. And I feel like that's one of the things that I worry about with this football team is the discipline that it takes to go out there and compete and not lose the game for yourself, So I'm with you on that. I'm pretty disheartened by the some of the mistakes that these guys made. There was a ton of penalties. I didn't think Alabama lost the game because of officiating. It wasn't great officiating, but I thought Alabama lost the game because they weren't ready to win. They didn't go in there they didn't play to win. They didn't take care of the little things that it takes to win. And it's catching up with them now. And that Tennessee team's not that good. Not both of these teams aren't that good. But Tennessee was better, and they got to smoke the cigars. And something we'll talk about next segment is kind of where they go from here. But discipline's an issue for sure. And a lot of guys who have played have spoken up, including Mike Johnson and Damian Harris. Back when Malachi Moore kind of got all those penalties with his actions and didn't want to come off the field, and then now you have one that cost you an opportunity. So they're going to have to get that figured out. Obviously, some growing pains right now in Tuscaloosa. Hey guys, before we swing off for this first break, make sure that you check out Jake and I. If you're coming to Tuscaloosa, we'll be at Unique Bar, the old Egan's on the Strip Friday from 1 to 3, recording the Bama Tailgate Show. And then you can hear it here Saturday from 9 to 11. That's the Bama Tailgate Show. We preview the Crimson Tide each Saturday, but we record the show on Friday. So catch us there. More Monday Quarterback here on WNSP right after this. Back on Monday Quarterback, WNSP, with national championship winning quarterback and former St. Paul's football player, Jake Coker, the mayor of Mobile. I'm Mick Gillispie, coming at you as we talk Alabama football each Monday right here on Monday Quarterback. Show's brought to you by Sticks Tractor and Tree over in Robertsdale. All right, Jake, let's talk about the direction of this program. You and I have both been around Kalen DeBoer. We both like Kalen DeBoer. It's obviously his first year, and it's easy to say that there are some growing pains right now with this football program. What to you, and we just talked about discipline, but what to you stands out besides that, and what can he do to kind of get things moving in the right direction, and how far off are they?
How far off are they? We have talented players. I mentioned this in the first segment. I mentioned it on shows before that. Got a lot of new faces. I don't know how much that's playing into it. I mean, I think it probably has to. But I don't know if we had a single drive Saturday where we didn't have penalties that just destroyed the drive from the start.
Right.
I don't know if we ever did it, and then on top of that, sometimes you watch us and we got busted plays, guys just not executing their assignments. Some of those plays, we hand the ball off and our O-line's working the opposite way, running, blocking as if the call was to the opposite way. You got 5 guys in the backfield before we even get started. The 2 interceptions, the timing in the pocket, it's just I just feel like guys aren't on the same page. And there's, we talk about that intensity, that intense confidence that Alabama used to have, where, there was a sense of urgency. There was guys getting on each other, but in a healthy way and growing better as a team. Guys lost their temper, but you always felt like it was either self-policing or a guy that was so frustrated with being a loser or not achieving the success that Coach Saban had in mind. But now it just seems, you watch us on the sideline, and I hate to judge based on just body language and just what you're seeing from guys on the sideline as well. But we just don't seem like we have a fire, and I don't know, it just didn't seem like we really cared about beating Tennessee and letting the opponent get in our heads. I mean, it's just something that just never happened. I mean, if guys, I felt like if guys talk trash to Alabama when you had that demeanor that we had, that wasn't a good thing for you, and it was all, it was all fixed on the field. We got to grow up, man. We got our leadership within that team has to step up and unify this club, because if we don't fix these immediate problems, we already might be out of the playoff, but unless we start playing with some dominance, we got no chance.
Hanging out with Jake Coker, Monday quarterback here on WNSP Radio. We're talking Alabama and, obviously that matchup that they had against Tennessee. They'll play Missouri on Saturday. We'll get into a little of that and what's going on around the SEC, maybe some other games. Georgia and Texas was interesting, but not surprising to me. But sticking with Alabama, I'll tell you my assessment of the game. I thought that Milroe looks like something's off. I think he could be injured, playing through something. DeBoer kind of alluded to guys playing injured in the post-game press conference, or at least that's how I interpreted it. Yeah, he just doesn't look right. He's a much better player than he's looked, and he's taken a lot of hits the last few weeks. I thought that the run game, again, wasn't there, and Alabama has got to establish the run game. They're throwing the ball way too much. And
well, but my problem with that is, when you start off 1st and 15, 2nd and 12, right. I mean, it puts you in a bind to begin with. And how do you develop consistency throughout a game if you got 1st and a mile? I mean, you can't do it. It's you can't just hand the ball off, when you got to go 15 yards for a first down. It plays in the defense's hands. They kind of know what you're doing, and it puts you behind the 8 ball from the start.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. And that's part of this too. I mean, it really is part of this, because the mistakes were just one after another. How do you see them? How do you fix this?
Well, again, that's why I'm left so confused by the end of this game, because you tell me what did you see in that game? And again, I love Alabama. I love Caleb DeBoer. I think he's going to do great. I just think that it's a transition period, and it's going to be a confusing and tough year to watch. At this point, it's been pretty tough outside of that Georgia game. And he's going to need time to get his guys in there. But I don't really know what to point to, especially offensively, right now, and say, man, that's where we got to get better. I mean, because when you watch that game Saturday, you're like, man, we got to get better everywhere.
Right.
There's not. There wasn't really one key takeaway where I was like, man, we're really strong here. Outside of the fact that I feel really good about Ryan Williams being good, and he's going to be able to carry that load, for this team and that receiving core. Look, when you're targeting a 17-year-old freshman 20 some odd times in the game, it says a lot about that freshman, but it also says, we got to get some help.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's crazy that some of these other guys, Kendrick Law made a couple of plays. I mean, obviously, besides the penalty at the end of the game, he made some catches. I think Jeremy Bernard's becoming a pretty legitimate threat at wide receiver. But to me, if you cannot establish the run, then you become one-dimensional and you become beatable.
Yeah, I think Jeremy Bernard, he is solid. He is really, really solid. Of course, he came with Kalen DeBoer. He understands that offense. He's a talented player. But again, you get behind the sticks, you only have so many options. And I'd like to say, I'd like to look at that game and say, man, we need to be more versatile. But again, you kind of get put into a box when you're in those type of down and distance situations.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's something that, as things move forward, we'll be keeping an eye on, how they are able to rebound. Hey, I mentioned we're brought to you by Sticks Tractor and Tree Service, located in Robertsdale. These guys are great. I had a yard full of water oak trees. One when we bought the house, there was the deck right next to the house was built into one of these. And I just had a really eerie feeling about this tree. And so guys came out, gave me a price. I had them take all the water oaks out because I live close to the bay. And the one by the house, hollow in the middle. And it would have probably fallen on the house just at 75 or 80 feet tall. So they give you one price for the all day, or they give you, whatever the estimate is. That's what they stick by. Hunter and those guys over there are fantastic. If you're getting estimates, they're not that expensive. I mean, and trust me, we got a lot of estimates before we land it with them. So 251-367-1081. That is Sticks, Tractor, and Tree. When we come back, we'll talk more on Monday Quarterback right here on WNSP. Great to have you guys hanging out with us here on Monday Quarterback. We do it every Monday on WNSP noon to 1. He's Jake Coker. I'm Mick Gillispie. We also host the original Bama football tailgate show, and that comes on Saturdays 9 to 11 right here. So we preview Alabama. We had Ryan Anderson with us last week. We recorded the show on Friday at Coastal down in Orange Beach. I got to throw those guys a shout out, man. They took great care of us. I saw Ryan had a lot of crab claws, and it looked like he had some other basket full of food. I saw you over there. What was that? You were eating a catfish sandwich or something?
No, I had the fried shrimp.
Oh, fried shrimp. That's your go-to.
I
knew that.
Man, Coastal, that's a hard place to be. That atmosphere, that food.
Oh, yeah.
Need to have a few more shows down there.
Well, that's what they reached out and said, hey, was everything to your liking? And I was like, you know what? We don't really have a spot for Oklahoma. The stage is like right by the beach, which is really cool. So anyway, we'll be at Unique on the Strip in Tuscaloosa for this game coming up on Saturday. We'll be there on Friday, 1 to 4. And we're going to do it outside as long as the weather's good, right there on the Strip. So it's across from the Houndstooth. It's called Unique Bar. It's a dive sports bar. Used to be Egan's. And come by and say hey to us. Roll Tide. We got Screwball and Yingling merch to give away, or swag as we call it. And it should be a lot of fun as we preview that Alabama-Missouri game. All right, before we get there, any final thoughts on the game against Tennessee? The goalposts go down again. Bama's 0 for their last 3 in the Volunteer State. A loss to Vandy, sandwiched in between 2 losses to Tennessee over a 3-year span. Do you think that, and I know the obvious answer to this is yes to me, but do you think the dynasty's over?
No, I mean, I think they're the dynasty. Alabama, I'm biased, but I think Alabama will always be the school that, when you roll into Tuscaloosa, you look at that, you look at the campus, you look at the football facility, you look at the stadium. I think that Alabama is always going to be, that historically relevant and supreme program. I think we got a rough year in store for us. I mean, and I say that in terms of Alabama standards. You lose to Tennessee and Vandy in the same year. It's not good. We still have time to rebound. We got a lot to clean up. I mean, we've got a lot of potential. It's just, man, we weren't very detail oriented on Saturday, and I mean, it's a hard thing to fix overnight. So we got a long way to go. And again, it's a year that after beating Georgia is not going the way we thought, but I still stand by that. I think Kalen DeBoer I think he's the best coach for Alabama right now. I think in terms of how you have to coach kids nowadays with NIL stuff, and I think that's got to be cleaned up. Same with the transfer portal, if possible. I mean, it's hard to hold kids accountable now.
Yeah.
I mean, they can up and leave so quickly on a whim. There's no guarantees. They've got total and complete leverage. And look, when I was playing, I transferred from Florida State to Alabama. You had to graduate. I think that was a great way to do things. You had to fulfill your commitment to the school by graduating and then being able to leave. It took a lot of hard work to get there, and it was hard to do. But, you know, you do what you say you're going to do for the school, and in return, they do what they say they're going to do for you. And I don't know, I may be a little old school on this, but again, I played, and it'd have been great to have that kind of leverage. Don't get me wrong. Who wouldn't want that kind of leverage in any scenario? But is it healthy? No, I don't believe so. I think both sides have to benefit from each situation, and the schools just are kind of playing with a half-loaded gun here.
Jake Coker, Mick Gillispie, Monday quarterback here on WNSP Radio in Mobile. Yeah, it's a much different world now. New top 25 is out. Alabama slides all the way down to number 15 in the AP and the coaches poll. So they're down 8 spots. Did you know that Bama at one point this year was number 1 in the country? Within 3 games, Alabama is all the way down to number 15. And if they lose one more time, they're going to be out of the top 25.
Yeah, well, this is a crazy year, and we're finally starting to see the effects of the NIL stuff and the transfer portal stuff. You know, I mean, teams, you're not going to be able to be as consistent. You can't stack talent, you know, too deep at each position like you used to be able to do. I mean, it's going to be. It's not going to be a stable environment in terms of college football. You're not going to have teams that just dominate the top 4 anymore. I think Kirby's about the only coach that's going to be able to do that. I think Dan Lanning's coming along. But I don't think – and then Ohio State, I mean, with that kind of NIL funding, you should be up there. And then, you know, Texas, I think as long as Sark's there, they're going to be pretty good. They've got plenty of NIL funding as well. But it's just going to be a different atmosphere, a different landscape. I mean, you saw, you know, Georgia, Texas this weekend. Of course, we talked about it last week. Texas is going to have to prove to me that they can play with the top level of talent, those teams that are really physical, before I buy in. I took Georgia last week, and, you know, they proved that they were better than Texas. Texas tried to come along and make it a comeback in the second half, but came up a little short. These teams that haven't played in the SEC and that level of talent week in and week out, it's a little bit of a culture shock when you come in and you start playing, you know, top level teams week in, week out, and maybe not even top level in terms of ranking, but you come and play in a conference where football is it's culture around here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Thanks for hanging out with us here on WNSP as Jake Coker and I get together each Monday for Monday Quarterback and kind of recap the Alabama game and talk about exactly what happened on Saturday. Taking a look at the new top 25, you got Oregon 1, Georgia 2, Penn State 3, Ohio State 4, Texas 5, Miami, then Tennessee, then LSU 8, Clemson 9, and we'll at least go down to Bama. Iowa State, BYU 10 and 11, and Notre Dame 12, Indiana 13, Texas A&M 14, and then Alabama 15. Looking at scores from around the SEC, I guess everybody's still kind of talking about the Georgia win over Texas, 30-15. We saw a little Arch Manning in the game, but Quinn Ewers eventually finished the contest. One of the first off, the officiating is really consistently bad, in my opinion, around college football. But one of the weirdest plays I've ever seen, Texas had a clear interception. They came up with this where they called this weird pass interference penalty to take the ball away. And then people started throwing cans on the field and beer bottles and stuff, and they changed the call. Have you ever seen anything like that?
I don't know if I've seen anything like that in a recent memory, but they got the call right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they
matters too.
You know, they're so trigger happy now throwing those flags that you know, they need to do it a little more often, to be honest with you. gather up and and get it right, because there's been so many calls this year and that you just shake your head and you wonder how they saw something like that. Did you see the offsides? I think it was on the second to last drive.
Yeah,
of the Alabama-Tennessee game.
Yeah, I mean, it was so blatant. I don't know how you even. It's so frustrating. But dude, it's like the people that officiate these games aren't professional. I mean, I guess technically they are because they're being paid, but they're not full-time officials. I mean, these are guys that work on grounds crews and, or real estate agents and, and do a bunch of other jobs. And then they just get paid $2,500 to go do that on the weekend. Not to say that that all of them are bad, but they're not good enough for the amount of focus that we have on these sports. And I don't know how you miss some of these calls. It's egregious.
I mean, the head referee could get, the way things are going, I mean, they get more face time than the quarterbacks.
Yeah, right.
I mean, those guys could rake in some NIL deals as recognizable as they are.
Yeah.
I mean, throw a Nike branded referee shirt on him and he's got an NIL deal, buddy. It's crazy what and those targeting calls in the Georgia game. Technically, I guess they are targeting, but these defenders are basically, they got to protect themselves too. What are you going to take the crown of the helmet to the chest? I mean, and there was three of them kind of right in a row. I think they let one of them go because they realized how egregious they were being and manipulating that game. But Georgia lost two guys right there at the beginning of the fourth quarter for hits that weren't even, that weren't egregious at all, that weren't malicious. I mean, I feel like you could have targeting to me is built for the receiver catching the ball, defenseless receiver over the middle, maybe here and there for a quarterback, but what they're calling nowadays, again, it makes it hard to watch. It really does.
No doubt, man. I'm with you on that. That was the big game in college football. So Georgia moves all the way up to number 2 after beating Texas, and Texas slides down with that defeat. LSU pounded Arkansas 34-10. Texas A&M stays undefeated in the SEC, a 10-point win at Mississippi State. Auburn blows it again to Missouri 21-17. They had a big lead in that game and couldn't hold on. South Carolina hammered Oklahoma 35-9. Vanderbilt with only a 10-point win over Ball State somehow, right? It's always going to be close for them. They had to score 10 in the fourth quarter to win it. And then Florida 48-20. They beat Kentucky. That's a look at the SEC. When we come back, we'll preview Bama and Missouri and look at the other games in the conference. More Monday Quarterback with Jake Coker right after this. Final segment of Monday Quarterback here on WNSP. Noon to 1 each Monday. Jake Coker and Mick Gillispie get together and we break down the Alabama game. And also want to remind you guys as well to make sure you tune in 9 to 11 on Saturday for the Bama Tailgate Show. Love getting together with you guys and doing it in person. Had some great guests that slid down to Coastal, the amazing restaurant on the beach in Orange Beach on Friday when we recorded. This week we'll be in Tuscaloosa Friday doing the show from 1 to 4. And we will be at Unique Bar on the Strip. It's the old Egan. So definitely come by and see us. And on a side note, a couple weeks ago, we had one of our Bama Tailgate partners, Brett Elmore, jump in for you, Jake. And unfortunately, Brett passed away this past week. And so definitely send prayers to the Elmore family, Big Sexy Elmo, who was on this show and then on the Tailgate Show. But boy, his funeral was Saturday before the game, and we're going to definitely miss him from up there in Jasper, Alabama. That's a town that's northwest of Birmingham. And he was the longtime play-by-play broadcaster of the Jasper Vikings. So condolences go out to our buddy. All right, let's talk some football. Jake, we look at the schedule for this week. Bama hosting Missouri. For Alabama, they need to get back on track again. And this is another game where they're going to be favorite. But with that said, and it could be a double-digit favor over Missouri, number 15 against number 21. Bama in a spot where
I don't know how we're I don't know how we're a double-digit favorite. If we are, I mean, I'd be shocked. I don't know how you know. I feel like the only team I feel comfortable with us being a favorite over right now is Oklahoma and Mercer. Look, all the guys are pulling them. I love them. I'm pulling for them, and I have respect for them playing in Alabama and putting the effort in that they do. I just, and I'm okay with us losing. I mean, it's part of it. You lose. We lost when I was there, but I want to see disciplined football. I mean, if you lose, putting your best foot forward, that's completely understandable. It's just tough watching games where we're losing because of self-inflicted damage.
Mm-hmm. 13.5 points is the spread, by the way. Bama favored at home. Some other matchups around the SEC. Oklahoma is going to Oxford to play Ole Miss. Arkansas at Mississippi State. Texas and Vandy. That's an interesting game. 3:15 in Nashville. Vandy with a head of steam right now in the top 25, ranked 25th with 3 straight wins. I got to tell you, I want to see something from Vanderbilt now that they beat Alabama.
A 10-point win over Ball State, huh? That's I guess now they're a team that they they can have a hangover game.
Definitely a hangover game.
We usually have hangover games against. I mean, look, man, they're a good team. I think they're going to play well. I bet they have more than 25% of the stadium capacity and black and gold this weekend.
Boy,
they'll believe they have a chance and create as big of an atmosphere as possible. I think Texas is more consistent than we are, even though it was hard to believe. I never had Quinn Ewers getting benched on my bingo card this year. I couldn't believe it when I saw that.
Whoa! I said that on the tailgate show that this was the game that we have a quarterback controversy at Texas. You don't remember that Friday?
I mean, it sounded so ludicrous. I just threw it out the window.
I hear you. I can't wait to see it. LSU against Texas A&M, and all of a sudden, these are the 2 top dogs in the SEC. LSU 3-0 in the conference, Texas A&M 4-0, and that's going to be in College Station. I mean, this is the game where if Texas A&M wins this one, they're legit. They're going top 10, and that showdown with Texas at the end of the season becomes a beast.
Yeah, I'm hoping we need LSU to win that game. I think LSU is better, but we gotta have LSU win so that we come in to Baton Rouge later on this year. That game really means something for us if we pull it out.
Yeah, I hear that.
I mean, who do you have winning the Heisman now?
Man, I don't even know.
Is there anybody that even? I guess Dylan Gabriel. That he's got to be in that conversation now, huh?
Yeah, it's got to be. Oregon up to number 1, but so much can change. I don't feel like there's a clear cut favorite for this. It's anybody's Heisman.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even think of not even a front runner, but I don't even know who's in that group right now outside of Dylan Gabriel. I mean, you had the Carson Becks, the Quinn Ewers, but now at this point in the season, you kind of wonder. you're just not seeing the dominant performances at the quarterback position this year like you have in years past.
Yep. And then Auburn 0-4 in the SEC against Kentucky 1-4 in the conference. The Tigers just seem to find a way to lose every single week. I mean, it's really crazy. It looked like they were going to blow out Missouri, and just watched it slip away again in the fourth quarter.
It should be 2-4 easily,
Yep.
but I'm gonna hold back on slinging jokes this week because I feel like we don't have we don't have as much room to talk anymore.
Yeah, I do too. Well,
I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to change places.
No. Well, guys, again, thank you for hanging out with us on Monday Quarterback. Check us right here Saturday from 9 to 11, the Bama Tailgate Show, as we preview Alabama and Missouri. Get your football Saturday started right here on WNSP. For Jake Coker, I'm Mick Gillispie. Thank you for hanging out, and have a great week, everyone, and roll tide.
Roll Tide.